Fallen angels, twisted demons, and lost gods walk in your midst. So too do your eternal jailers, pitiless beings beyond time itself, striving to keep you imprisoned. Welcome to part 2 of How to Play KULT Divinity Lost. Part 1 was a soft introduction into the dark world and roleplay of KULT. In this video, roles and moves. The first and arguably easiest rule to master is the rolling of the dice. KULT Divinity Lost uses a modified, powered by the Apocalypse system of rolling 2d10 to determine the specific results of disadvantages, advantages, and most commonly, player moves. In KULT, the Game Master, or GM, doesn't roll any dice and instead gain their own moves as a result of the player's rolls. There are 3 possible outcomes. If you roll a 15 or higher, you succeed. If you roll a 10 to 14, you can consider yourself successful, but it comes with complications. If you roll a 9 or less, you fail, and most likely the Game Master will get a handful of moves. Attribute scores act as modifiers to your roll, and are added or subtracted accordingly. For example, if you're rolling to endure injury, the most complicated roll, by the way, you would want to roll 2d10, take the dice total, and add or subtract your fortitude score, and subtract the harm of the offending weapon to determine the outcome of the move. Refer to the core rules or player moves reference sheet, available for free at KULTDivinityLost.com for the specific results of each player move. Advantages and disadvantages work in the same fashion, and will be discussed in an upcoming installment of this series. There are 10 moves available to players, and each are linked to the player's 10 attributes. The core rules state, player moves are moves available to all player characters, also referred to as PCs. When a PC executes an action in the story that triggers a move, their player rolls 2 10-sided dice and references the move's instructions to determine what happens. The Game Master describes this outcome in the story, and in some cases will make her own follow-up moves. Let's chop that into pieces that are more easily digestible. Moves are available to all players regardless of archetype. It does not matter whether you are a pitiful sleeper or lucky enough to have broken free from your prison and awakened into enlightenment. These moves are shared by all characters. When, during a roleplay scene, a character performs an action, I jump out of the way. I open the door very quietly. I shoot at them with my gun. I try not to throw up. That PC has triggered a player move and must roll the dice. As mentioned before, each of the 10 moves is linked to one of your 10 attribute scores, and that score, +1, -1, or maybe 0, for example, would be added or subtracted from your dice total, determining the outcome of the move. When a player rolls a 15 or higher, known as a complete success, the character accomplished their goal without complication. When the player rolls a 10 to 14, a success with complications, the player accomplishes their goal, but their success is accompanied by complications in the form of a hard choice, costs, or some other horrible subsequent trouble that is determined by the GM. They shoot the creature, but their gun jams. They uncover the clue, but are caught in the act. When the roll is a 9 or less, known as a failure, the character's action may be a failure and often has undesired results. They may partially achieve their goal, but the GM may additionally make one of their own moves. A free player moves reference sheet is available as a PDF download from KULTDivinityLost.com/resources. Moves are designed to push the narrative forward. Regardless of the outcome, the story takes a new turn after characters execute moves. Player moves are either passive, meaning they are triggered automatically when conditions are met, or active moves that are triggered when a character takes a specific action. There are 3 passive moves used to resist external and internal threats. Characters will avoid harm by using reflexes, endure injury with your fortitude, affected of course by the harm of the weapon. And there are many situations in KULT Divinity Lost when you will have to keep it together and use your willpower. There are 7 active moves that you use proactively in the story. Players may investigate by rolling plus reason, or try to read a person with a roll plus intuition. Characters can observe a situation with their perception and act under pressure with coolness. You may also find your character in positions where they feel the need to engage in combat and use their violence attribute, or maybe try the subtle approach and influence other with their charisma attribute. Finally, through rituals, suffering from shock, or influenced by drugs perhaps, you see through the illusion, testing your soul attribute. There is also an 11th move that isn't directly attached to any single attribute: help or hinder. Players may help or hinder another player's move. You must explain how you are helping or hindering before you roll. The Game Master will then ask you to roll using the same attribute as the move you are trying to help or hinder. A success or partial success results in a +2 or +1 added or subtracted when hindering the other player's roll. A failure means that your interference has some unintended consequences and the GM gets a move. We will also refer in these tutorials to Game Master and Relation moves. Game Master moves are not the same as player moves and vary greatly based on the fiction. Relation moves are bonus moves that can be used in certain situations dealing with other characters with which you have a relationship score. Relation and Game Master moves will be discussed in future episodes of this series. When you interact with the world and try to push towards your goals, it is inevitable that you will sooner or later come into conflict with things trying to stop you from getting what you want. You will want to flee from your pursuers in a risky car chase through the city, or persuade a stubborn person to reveal what they know. The crime scene may show to be a greater challenge than you expected, or you may have to convince that suspicious police officer with a convincing lie. The conflicts that can arise in a story are limitless. These player moves will help you resolve the most frequently appearing conflicts in a story of KULT Divinity Lost. In the next video, archetypes. Thank you, Helmgast, for producing this wonderfully dark game and cooperating with my madness. If you liked this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe button. Don't forget to click the little bell so you don't miss the next installment in this series detailing the rules of KULT Divinity Lost. Please visit KULTDivinityLost.com for resources and links to game materials. Thank you.